Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series and is intended to aid the Dreamcast and gaming community.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and I got a package I'm going to be opening up for you. This is an interesting one because this showed up at I think it was the end of January 2016, or maybe the beginning of February 2016. And when I got it, it looked really odd because it has, alright, so the return address says Venezuela on it, so I was like, I'm certainly not expecting anything from Venezuela. It doesn't say it, but then the shipping price information is in euros, which would imply Europe. So I was a little confused, so I just kind of popped it open like this. And the second I saw inside, I was like, oh shit, I know exactly what that is. And now it's got to be put off to the side because I'm going to need to make a video for you guys. So finally now, after over a month, I'm able to open my damn mail. So let me do that real quick here. What this is 2 copies of a new Sega Dreamcast game called Leona's Tricky Adventures. Now, if you're not aware, yes, the Sega Dreamcast still gets brand new Dreamcast games every once in a while. This is the first one in 2016. In short, the reason that happens is it's not Sega. Sega doesn't make new games for the console. It's not other companies you would know for the most part either. It's not like EA or Activision or Capcom or anybody like that. It's always independent developers and publishers who perhaps they have their own reasons. I've speculated on why I think they do this. You know, it's got a pre-installed fan base. It's nice to get your game into physical media. There's no development fees as far as you don't have to pay Sega to make games for the Dreamcast. And of course you get a lot of press out of it because there's always articles written up like, a new Dreamcast game, what? And then you know, it helps them boost sales for alternative platforms like Steam or whatever that the game may be available on. So point is, I love the Dreamcast, so of course I'm very happy to support it every time a new Dreamcast game comes out. And we got yet another one. The Dreamcast lives on into 2016. This one is Leona's Tricky Adventures. Now, as I mentioned before, the address seemed very odd to me because, as I recall, the developers of this are actually from Spain, not Venezuela. So that would explain the euros, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, new Dreamcast game. And it's a puzzle game, and it's got an odd story behind it. It goes back a ways, and I had totally forgot all about this game, to be honest with you. This, I don't know a whole lot of the early backstory of the actual development of the game, but here's what I've heard. In 2011, these guys, KTX Software, wanted to make this game. But I guess they had some affiliation with THQ, so when THQ started, collapsing and then being bought off, that kind of hurt their chances. They ended up spinning off and being their own thing when they wanted to make this. And then I think it was late 2012 or early 2013, they decided to get a Kickstarter together to make this game happen. And I was actually one of the backers, but I was one of the only ones. The Kickstarter failed, it did not meet its goal, and it looked like the game was just never going to happen. Shortly after that, they actually said, hey, we still want to do it, so here's our website, and if you want, you can pre-order the game in a regular edition or a limited edition. And I was like, well, shit, yeah, I'm still going to support that game because I want it. So I ordered the limited edition, which was $50, and it was essentially the regular version of the game plus some extras, although they weren't really sure what the extras were going to be. I didn't really care, I just wanted to support them. And a few days after that, the limited edition option vanished from their website. And I don't mean it's sold out, I mean it vanished, as if it never existed. So I contacted them, understandably kind of concerned, because I was like, well, I already gave you the $50, even though the regular edition's cheaper, what's the deal? And they replied back and they said, oh, don't worry, we're going to make it worth your while, you'll get the game, plus you'll get some extras, etc. I was like, okay, whatever. And so that was early 2013, I think, from what I recall. Fast forward all the way to December of 2014, because I had completely forgotten about this game. And I suddenly get an email from them being like, hey, just so you guys know, Leona's Tricky Adventures is complete for Steam. Here's your free key for the game. And I was just like, thanks, but I ordered the Dreamcast version. Oh, don't worry, that's still happening. I was like, all right, whatever. Fast forward another entire year. And when you get to December of 2015, or the most recent December at the time I make this video, I got another email from them saying, all right, we're shipping now. I was like, sweet, and then sure enough, it showed up. So very awesome to have a brand new Dreamcast game. Now, if you're wondering why there's 2 copies, I was a little confused on that as well, until in the interim, after I got the package, but before I made this video, I got an email from them saying that as one of the only limited edition backers, they were going to give me 2 copies of the game, as well as some extra things, I don't know what, they didn't even specify in the email. They're just going to send me some stuff. It could be t-shirts, it could be posters, it could be concept artwork. I have no idea, but we'll see. Whenever it shows up, I'll let you guys know. But in the meantime, yes, I have 2 copies of the game. Since they're exactly identical, I'm just going to leave one of them sealed and one of them open. So I guess I'll just open this one, and we can take a look at the game itself here. Yeah, so it's looks to be very professionally done, which is generally what you expect with these indie Dreamcast games. It's very rare for them to put them on like CDRs or anything like that. Generally what happens is, you know, they'll make up all the assets for the game, and then they'll have it sent off to factories where they're produced on press CDs, which is exactly what happened in this case. So it's sent to a factory where it's made on all professional stuff. It's not just some guy burns it on his, you know, on his like old Dell from 1998 or whatever, and then ships it off to you. No shit like that. I don't know why he would still be using a Dell from 1998. What's wrong with you? But point is, it's high grade stuff, and it's got this little manual here and everything. But I'll give you guys some glory shots there. There's the front of the game, the cover. There is the back, and the inside here with the disc. It's very nice. Yeah, very cool. So I'm looking forward to checking this game out. But yeah, I guess there's really nothing else to say. Let's go ahead and try out the game. The only criticism I would have is probably the exact same one that everyone else seems to, the people that have already talked about this game. From an aesthetic standpoint, although personally this doesn't really bother me that much, is that the side label, as you can see, is all green, which is kind of a strange choice for the Dreamcast, because I don't think there is any other game with an all green label, so it doesn't really fit in anywhere. It just kind of looks out of place. I'll let you know when I look at, you know, I put it into my display, but yeah, I guess I could see why that would annoy people, but it's whatever. Either way, anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and try out the game.
Okay, so I've fired up the game here, and you get introduced to this cool little animated cutscene, of course, there by KTX Software. I'm guessing this is hand animated, though I don't know for sure, because animation is certainly not something I'm super familiar with, but I thought this was a neat little cutscene before you get into the title here. Now you'll notice there that the game actually supports the mouse. You can play it that way. Now I skipped here ahead a bit, but there's an intro sequence where it just kind of makes you create a save file and everything, and be warned, the save file is like 29 blocks, which is actually really big for one of these indie games. The indie games usually are only a couple of blocks. Also, another cut right there. That owl actually talks to you for a really long time. I just kind of cut that out. But basically, you'll see here that this game it's essentially a puzzle game where you have to match what you see on the right screen. You have to make the left screen look like that, and it's got this kind of like RPG element backdrop to justify why you're doing all these puzzles. So in this particular scenario, you start off in this little room, and you want to get out of the room, and so you talk to the owl, and he's basically like, yeah, well, the door's locked, so you know you have to solve this puzzle to do it. And essentially he just kind of explains how you solve the puzzles. Now I never really had any difficulty solving these puzzles. I played the game for like a good 20 minutes or so, and I quite enjoyed it. It does come off as a tad simplistic, because it generally, like, see how it's glowing there? It kind of gives you the answer a lot. However, I get the feeling as the game progresses that actually will go away. I found it rather enjoyable in the sequences that I ended up playing. And I know this always comes up in the comments, so I do want to address it. People always say, like, hey, you know, these new Dreamcast games, it's cool they do that, but why don't they make like 3D games? Why do they always do these like 2D games that, quote, can be on the Sega Genesis, unquote? Well, the thing is, games like this, I mean, games cost money to produce. Like, that's no great secret. Everybody knows you have to budget a game. 3D games, guys, I mean, there's a lot of money involved in that. Like, we're talking multiple millions of dollars, whereas games like this can be done on such a lower budget. I mean, we may eventually reach a time where you can actually get the 3D games on the Dreamcast and have it, you know, be cost effective, but we're simply not at that point yet. But you know, you notice that a lot of these Dreamcast games, at least from the indie standpoint, are getting more advanced than they used to, which makes sense. But see, you get this. All right, now back to this though. You see, like, there's an open world type of vibe there, an RPG world, I guess, would be more of an accurate term. And you get to like these little puzzle things, and then the owl's like, all right, you got to solve it. And this whole first section really felt more like it was just kind of explaining all the and that makes sense, it's like the tutorial area, but that it was just kind of explaining how the game is basically played. And in case you care, that is the same owl. He can fly, and he just kind of flies around without you looking at him, if that matters to you. I found that the owl talked way too much. Like I cut out a lot of it for the footage, but man, like he goes on at great length about, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I was like, all right, man, ease up a little bit. These mole dudes also give you like little bits of advice. Like he's giving me a map now. Yeah, that's cool. Just to tell you where you can go, obviously. Yeah, it updates auto-magically, which is a nice video game justification term. Yeah, I went to go check out this guy, but he said I can't go there yet. You have to learn how to use it or something regarding the map. So I just kind of kept going. I was checking to make sure the puzzles were done. And you kind of, at least in the section I've played so far, this is pretty much what you just kind of keep doing, is you go to different puzzles. I assume the game changes up more as you go, but I don't know for sure. Alright, in case you guys are curious, though, about how this was recorded, this is played back on VGA on the Dreamcast. This game does support that. I think all the indie games do, actually. And then I ran it through my VGA to HDMI scaler, the one I have that Leona made. It's really a nice one. I did a video on it a few years back. But yeah, so then I did run that to a Hauppauge HD PVR too, and that's how I get my Dreamcast footage. That's why it generally looks really good, because there's a lot of steps involved, but it ends up really being worth it. Also, if you're curious, this game is region free, so you do not have to, like, if you have a PAL Dreamcast, you have a Japanese Dreamcast, you have an American Dreamcast, doesn't matter. The same disc will work in all versions of the console. It's obviously self-booting, you know, there's no special discs or anything. It's one of the beautiful things about the Dreamcast is that it can read games like this without Sega's permission, which is really very nice. So that's why you have this particular game. Geez, what else can I tell you guys? Oh, I should have mentioned this before. The website where you can get the game is trickyleona.com, TRICKYLEONA.com. I'll put a link to it in the description if you guys want to check it out. As far as the indie Dreamcast games go, it's one of the more affordable ones. I think now it's like 29 euros. So with the current American exchange rate, that's like $35 or so. It's not bad at all. But yeah, you can see I just decided, oh, I'll explore more. And then, so obviously I haven't played this enough, but I assume as the game goes on, you end up with more RPG type of things happening, maybe even boss fights. I don't know. But I know, again, the game looks simplistic, etc., and I know this isn't the type of game that will appeal to a lot of people, but for what it's worth, I thought it was actually pretty fun. You don't have to get it necessarily on just the Dreamcast. I know there's a Steam version available, which is like $2 if you prefer that. I don't know if it's on any other platforms. I would assume if it is, that it's entirely digital. I think the only physical version of this game is the Dreamcast version. And that's, to me, is awesome, because again, I'm obviously a huge Dreamcast fanatic, so I like to support it whenever I get the chance. But yeah, so there you go. I guess I honestly don't have a whole lot else to say, as you guys can kind of tell. So we can just kind of enjoy the game together, I guess. I think the animation is really good. Like, I don't know who did that, but it looks like a legit 2D cartoon. And so props to whoever the animator was, that they did a pretty good job. One other thing I noticed, although maybe I just missed it somewhere, is that the only language option appears to be English, which I found a little strange, because I know the game was essentially made in Spain, so to not see Spanish anywhere was a little odd. I could be wrong about that. I didn't really dive into the menus that much for language settings, but the game defaulted to English, and I didn't notice any option to change it. So I found that interesting, but I guess I could be wrong. It may support other languages. But yeah, I like the little animation when she just dances and she's like, "Yay, I won!" But yeah, you get the idea. You just basically keep you solve these puzzles and you continue to unlock new sections and areas to explore. This whole first section obviously is this cave, and I'll show you a little bit of what happens after you get out of the cave. You know, it's just a different environment, and I guess we'll kind of stop around there. But as you can see, the puzzles do start to get a little bit more complicated because, you know, you can see in the center there's like how many times you push on one of the gems and it'll change to a different color or whatever, and the effects that it will have around the ones there, which is why I think this whole first section, they're just kind of training you by showing you, like, yeah, just click here, click there, and you'll see the effects of it. So I'm fairly certain that if you continue to play, it'll stop telling you, like, exactly which one to click on. But admittedly, I haven't played enough of the game to be 100% sure of that, but I would bet that's the way it is, because otherwise it would be very odd to just always give you the answer in a puzzle game. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Socket activated. I guess this is almost this game's like equivalent of quote-unquote hacking, like, you know, you would do in BioShock or whatever. You just hack a floor and a doorway, which is a strange thing to do. But yeah, that's essentially the first section of the game, and then you get out into this like foresty area. So I'll kind of leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you consider checking out the game if it was at all interesting to you. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.